Hello there, how are you doing? I trust you're keeping safe and you're doing well. This pandemic has put us in a place where we just have to adjust to the way things are going right now in the world. But in all things, we give thanks to God. We made it this far. It's not by our power, it is only by the grace of God that we are even alive today. So we give glory to God. So quickly, let's move into our today's main topic. Everything you need to do and everything you need to know before you make a decision to travel abroad, which is either relocation, study abroad, or visiting, or any kind of, apart from tour, any other kind of going abroad. So, the first thing you need to do before you decide to travel abroad is to get an international passport, which can be gotten from the Ministry of, from immigration office in your state. Depends on your state. You can check on Google or ask people around for information about the address. And I think to get international passport, you need to have your birth certificates, your indigent letter, and I think things like that to get the passport. And the price depends on the state. So you can either get 5 years or 10 years. There was a time they were talking about 10 years passport. And there's 30 pages, and there's 32, and there's, I think, 64 pages. So it depends on what pages you can afford or which pages you want. So that's the first thing to get when you want to travel abroad. This is for all kind of travel, including tour. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to check which country you want to go to. For instance, now let's start with education kind of traveling. So we start with education. So let's say you want to go for your master's or your undergraduate or your PhD or PGD, whichever one, or college. After you have gotten your passport, you need to gather all your documents, which includes your result. For instance, you are going for undergraduate, you need to get your WAEC or NECO or NAPTEC or GCE exam result, and then with your international passport. And if they have scratch card, you can get one to add. Then you take a good passport photograph because this is needed during your application. Then you can decide to move forward. If it is for masters, you will need to gather all your undergraduate um, degree certificates, your transcripts, your WAEC results, or NECO, or anyone you have. Then, if the school needs CV, you can add a CV. If they need elite exam, which that English exam, you can also add it to it. If they don't need, then there's no problem. Depends on the country, because not all country requires an English exam. Then if it is for PhD, you have to gather both from your primary secondary school, which is your SS3 result, which is the WAEC still, or NECO, or any other one. Then your undergraduate degree transcript and certificates. Then your master's degree transcript and certificate also. And a project, because some schools for PhD application, they request for your project or proposal to send to them during your application. So that also is needed. Then you have to check your financial ability. This is very, very important. And this aspect is the main reason why I decided to do this video, because it has put a lot of students under stress after they leave home. They go to another country and things become very hard. And it is not what they expected to see abroad. So if, for instance, you want to go to a country like, let's start with most times I get question, hello Gloria, I would like to study abroad. If I ask, please may I know which country you have in mind, the first thing a client says is, I want to go to Canada or USA. Wow, these countries are very good, of course, very, very good to go and study, because you have a lot of advantages in these countries when you study there. But before you think about countries like this, the first thing you should be asking yourself is, can my parents afford me to study in this country? Do they have the capacity the financial ability to see me through my studies from year one to my final year, you have to discuss this with your parents. You give them the breakdown and all. Most times when a client comes and I give them all the breakdown on the amount, the things they need to do to get a Canada visa, student visa, and they're like, oh, that's too expensive. My parents cannot afford it. Then I decide to, maybe I try to give them an alternative, and they're like, no, they don't like this country because there's no work, there's no this. Yes, that's the disadvantage and advantage. You cannot compare one country to another country, because if you must go to this country, you should know that the money is not small. And if you're working with a smaller country, you should also know that, okay, there might not be too much advantages for you as a student. Then the second thing is the mindset that most students have is, when I get abroad, I want to start working immediately. No, it doesn't work that way. This is why I'm saying this. Imagine you enter a country as a student in your first week. I am very, very sure the last thing that you'll be thinking about is getting a job. Why? Because you'll be so busy with registration, trying to get your documents, maybe resident permit or whatever paper that is needed for you to live in the country. And some countries, it takes time for those papers to be ready. So I think you have to first get those things in place, then start your lectures and see if you can actually handle both working and schooling at the same time. Sometimes some departments requires a lot from you, so it might take most of your time, and then you'll find out you have limited time for your personal life, talk more of working. So you have to try to see if you can balance the equation, because really it's good to study and work at the same time. You can help yourself with that little money you make. It can pay your bills or whatever thing you decide to do with your money. But also think outside that. I want to study and work abroad. First, think about the things that you first need to put in place before you think about job. Most times students will be like, don't worry, let me just pay the first deposit. Immediately I get there, I'll look for a job and start working. Let's take a country for an example. Let's use maybe Poland for an example. You go to Poland country, you need to get your student permit before you are even allowed to look for job. After that, then you have your scheduled working hour. As a student, you have a limited of time you can work in a week. If you cannot exceed that amount of hours or days you have in a week to work. And Poland is a country that they have their own language. The fact that university teach in English does not mean every other person in Poland must speak English. Maybe you're going to look for a job in a cafe, and that cafe owner does not speak English, they only speak Polish. How do you expect yourself to communicate with them? So it is very important to have it at the back of your mind that whenever you go to a country, try as much as you can to learn their language, even if it is the basics you need to know. This will help you a lot, because I don't see a Polish restaurant owner or a cafe owner employing an African or someone who does not understand their language. How do you expect yourself to communicate with them or with the customers if you don't know their language? So you're saying that, don't worry, immediately I get to Poland, I'll look for a job and start working. First, have you thought about the fact that you have to first learn language? That might take you 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month. Some can take months, depends on your ability in learning language. And you might be lucky to find a place that they speak English. They can hire you like that even if you don't speak English. It's fine, but how many people can actually get places like that? So please, before you rush into making decision, also have it at the back of your mind that this place I am going to, they have their own language. And in order for me to work, I have it at the back of my mind that when I get there, before I start looking for a job, first I will learn their language, even if it is the basic. So I will have idea and knowledge, and that's really, learning their language helps a lot, because when you go to a place and you try to communicate with them, even if you're not very good, they will, oh, okay, this person is even trying to learn our language. So it gives them more of, and like, they open up more to you and they will welcome you more, like, okay, we can manage because we know you will keep learning, and then we can eventually communicate with you very well sometime. So I think this is enough on that aspect of working and the language side. Then another thing is when you move abroad, before you go to study, have you thought about the fact that the school dormitories or apartments are not for free after you have paid your school fees? How about your accommodation? How about your feeding? How about textbooks? How about maybe you get sick, bills, internet, because abroad you pay for internet, you pay for water. The water you use at home in your country free, you pay for it abroad. You pay for dustbin, you pay for, actually everything is payable. You pay for almost everything abroad, even though there's insurance, but you still pay. So have you thought about those things? Have you made some arrangements on, okay, the first 6 months of my stay abroad or the first 1 year of my stay abroad, I can comfortably live without depending on getting a job. Then I can be able to focus on looking for a job without being disturbed about my house rent. Oh, my rent is expiring, I don't have money. My parents does not have money to send to me. Now I have to look for a job and I'm not getting a job. What do I do? Then you start thinking about things to do that are not legal, things that can put you in trouble. You understand? So you have to think about those things also. You have to think about them, really give them some deep thoughts like, okay, daddy or mom, please, I want you to try at least, let's pay, even if it is first 6 months or first 1 year of my school fees and my house rent. That way I will be able to focus on education. Then I can look for a job. You see, this kind of thing, people tend to forget about this. They believe once you come abroad, school will give you accommodation for free. No, they do not give free accommodation. Just because you pay your school fees does not mean it's inclusive of your accommodation. No, unless if the school states that yes, this fee you are paying, your accommodation fee is included. Please make sure you find out all the information and then you get ready financially accordingly. This will help you a lot. This will help you avoid being desperate in a new place. Desperate in the sense that you are desperate to do anything just to make money to pay for your rent or to pay for food or to pay for clothes or something. Also, don't forget that if you come from Africa, for example, you come from Nigeria, some states are not cold. So you have to think about the fact that when you come abroad, there are seasons. We have like winter, fall, summer, all those things. You have to also think about the cold part and get ready. If it is buy your things from home, when they tell you don't worry, things are cheap abroad, don't bring anything. I remember 8 years ago when I was leaving Nigeria to Cyprus, that time they told me I should not even bring clothes. I can come with, so the only thing I was wearing as at that time, if I come to Cyprus, things are very cheap, I'll be able to buy things. Yes, well, my dad had little information then, and me, I was too young. We believed. We came. I came, and then things were different, really. So I had to start calling home for money, and then I started buying things. And naira compared to dollar, and well, that's a story for another day. So please get ready. Things are not as cheap as people claim they are abroad. No matter how cheap they are, they can never be sold for 1,000 naira. As you can buy a gin in Nigeria for 1,000 naira. 1,000 naira in Turkish lira is like 10 or 15 TL. I don't see anywhere that sells jean trouser for 15 lira. So you can say it is not as expensive as they claim. Yes, it might be expensive because you are making money in the country, in their own currency. But bringing money from your own country to another country, it is not. So please bear that in mind also. And then another thing is the idea of, oh, this country, there are two races, this racism is everywhere. See, it is everywhere. But one thing you should take note of, please try as much as you can to be careful. I think it's just best to stay out of trouble. It is better to be alive than to be dead, and then they'll be signing petition, justice for this, justice for that. Please stay out of trouble as much as you can. Do not go to places that this place might not be safe for me as a student, or I don't know. Well, just be careful, please. That's just all I'm trying to say. Avoid places that can endanger your life. Avoid people that are very dangerous. Avoid joining bad group, bad gang, things you cannot do at home. Don't come abroad and start doing it all in the name of, oh, I'm abroad, my parents are not here, so I'm in charge of my life. Please be careful. So I think that is it for students. For relocation, oh, it's very good to relocate. Everybody wants to leave their country to another country for a better opportunity and a better standard of life, depending on the country you come from. Yes, so when you want to relocate, please make sure that you have enough money and a good business to back up your claim. Places like Canada, they do permanent resident, which is like the PR, permanent resident, and they have express entry. If you study in Canada, after some years, after a lot of things, you can get permanent resident. You can become a citizen even. But before you do that, as a person who is planning to relocate, make sure you have a good job in your hand. So when you claim you have 100 million naira in your account, when the Canadian government tries to investigate, they will find that yes, you truly have this and true legal means. Not that they will start looking for money and they don't know where the money is coming from, just disappear and appear in one day. Please, that is very wrong. So make sure you have something you are doing. Have enough information about the country you are relocating to. If truly they give resident permit to foreigners, what are the disadvantages, what are the advantages? Things like that are very important. And make sure that no matter how desperate you are to leave your country, please, whichever country you go to, make sure that when you get to that country, you are going to get a paper to stay in the country legally. Do not plan and go and live in the place illegal. It is very bad. Bad, very bad. I mean, really bad. Some people be like, don't worry, let me just live here. When I get there, I'll find my way. Please don't be one of those people that say, I'll find my way. If you know that your way is not sure, make sure you are patient enough to find a sure way of entering this country and then a proper means of getting papers when you get there. And try as much as you can to avoid doing things that are illegal. Follow the country's rules and regulations and you will prosper. It's sweet to live abroad if you can just follow basic rules. And please, this is the last one. Do not go abroad and sit at home and be expecting money to be falling from the back of your house, that from a tree that you did not plant. It is not easy making money abroad. Just know that as much as you're making money, you have other bills to pay. So don't just assume immediately you come to abroad, you become a millionaire in one day. Please, Rome is not built in one day, yes, but they are laying bricks every single hour. That's just a quote from someone. So please, well, this is just little information I decided to pass. And as the time is going, I would just like to end it here for now until next week for another topic. We'll still talk more. If you have more questions, anything you would like to ask me, please drop it under the comment post, or you can send me a message on WhatsApp at +9054 288 94279, or on my email address at gloriaedunetwork@gmail.com, or on my Instagram, Gloria Edu Network, Gloria then EDU then network. I'm also on Instagram, so you can message me, you can ask me any questions you'd like to know, and I will try as much as I can to give you all the information I know. I hope this video helps someone. Please drop your comments. Don't forget to share, to like, or tag your friends or your family or anyone that you feel this information is important to. Thank you, and we are welcome to any more information. If you have anything to share with us, please do not hesitate to message us. Thank you very much for your time. This is Gloria Joseph, CEO Gloria International Edu Network and Travels and Tours. We do education, admission to study abroad, we do tourism, we do visa applications. So that's basically what we do. So thank you.